Good morning, Fargo. Tony Gehrig, Fargo City Commissioner, offering a recap for the September 12th meeting. I'll go over some of the major issues that we talked about in this meeting. If you have any questions, by all means, feel free to call or email me. You can find this information on our city website along with this video, and I'll also be posting it on social media, and I encourage you to share if you feel it's important for others to see it. The first issue we talked about at this meeting, the September 12th meeting, was the Tax Exempt Review Committee is going through some revisions. And this is a guideline that we have for who gets and who doesn't get tax exemptions from the city of Fargo. It goes through and really spells out what we're trying to accomplish and how we select those folks. Having a review and a change to this document is very important, in my opinion. It should be a limiting document. We should start rolling back some of the incentives that we're giving, because we've been giving them out for so long. For example, in downtown Fargo, we've been subsidizing that area for over 17 years now. And in my opinion, we should be rolling those back. And if others want to continue subsidizing, we should think about other areas to put those dollars. But in my opinion, we'd rather have a lower, sustainable, predictable tax rate, which will create growth all over the city of Fargo. This was actually continued to the next meeting to give an opportunity for commissioners to go to that subcommittee and give their recommendations. So I'll be doing a video after this that will talk about some things to be looking for in the future, and I will talk more in depth about what I think should happen in that committee in this next video. So stay tuned for that. Next was a pilot for an apartment called Beyond Shelter. Now, a pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes, which simply means that who's ever receiving this doesn't pay taxes for a certain amount of time. Now, this particular project is a shelter for the elderly. You have to be over 55 years old. You have to have a minimum income, or a maximum income, I guess. And it's different than a lot of the other pilots we've seen. What happens is a company, like a bank, will offer money for this project, and they get a tax break from the federal government in order to do that off their federal income tax. So there's a matching component to this, a federal matching component to anything that we as a city offer up to this. Also, instead of putting money in the developer's pocket by giving tax dollars from the city of Fargo, they're actually lowering the rent more and more the more we give. So this was the first pilot that I actually voted for in a long time, and it might have actually been the first since I've been in. So generally I'm opposed to pilots, because in most cases we're taking money from taxpayers and moving into the pockets of developers, giving money to their bottom line. I asked directly in this meeting if that's the case here, and what the developer said was, no, this is charity, so we'll be lowering the rents for those people the more and more the city gives. So we had an amount we all decided on, and this is more of a charity issue. So I'm interested to see what the people of Fargo think about that, being as I've been opposed to pilots pretty much this entire time. But this one was a little bit different, and I was intrigued by it, and we'll see how it all works out. But in general, I am still opposed to these tax incentives for businesses, this being a charity a little bit different. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The third item was an annexation of an area south of Fargo, about 12 homes, and it was continued to the next one, to the next meeting. So in general, I'm opposed to this because I don't see any clear reason why we are annexing other than the fact that we can. All the residents that were there and that were represented from that area were opposed to this for simple reasons. They have gravel roads. They don't want to pay to upgrade their roads. They're happy with what they have. They don't have fire hydrants. They don't have sidewalks. They don't have all the things that we have in the city, which is why they live out there. They want to live in a rural area that doesn't pay for all those additions. If they are annexed by Fargo, we will put those in. We will charge them for that. Do they get benefits? Sure, fire, police, protection, those type of things. But they are happy with where they're at, and none of them want to be annexed. Usually, people ask to be annexed by the city of Fargo, which is why at this point I don't see any clear reason why we would want to force their hand. It seems like big government coming in and telling people what they need to do, and obviously I'm opposed to those type of things. So we'll see how it all happens. This vote will come at the next meeting. The last thing that was continued was eminent domain. Actually, this was continued from the last meeting, and this is where we actually voted on this. For Oak Creek Drive in South Fargo, it's right along 40th Avenue there. And it's along, if you think about it, there's a slough or a small river creek that is in the backyards of these folks. We bought out every home along that creek except for one who is holding out. We've offered well above their assessed value, well above their appraised value, and they still are holding out. The only other option here is eminent domain, which is where we have the courts decide if we have the right to buy their property for a fair market price. No one on the city commission likes using eminent domain, and this is a very tough decision. However, this does go to inner city flood protection. We're building a flood wall behind, or a dike behind these folks' homes. And if we don't get this last house, that means all other homes in that development would be then at risk for flooding because of the one home. So there's a clear need for it, in my opinion. We'll have the courts decide. It was voted 5-0 to go into eminent domain, and I'm hoping that there'll be a fair price paid for this home, and so that we can move forward with inner city flood protection. That is the September 12th breakdown of my votes. I hope you enjoy the videos and pass them along, and keep track of how your Fargo City Commissioners are spending your dollars. Thank you.